when we speak about giving grace, you have to think about it. Let's just say out of 100 years, 95 of those years, men have been able to do whatever, however, control. They had all the power, all the money, all the influence, just everything, right? And then you have 5 years out of that. After those 95 years, you have 5 years where the women get some sort of power. Things haven't totally changed, but they have a lot of the same benefits that men have had for the last 95. You have to think about it. There's going to be a huge overcorrection. And because of that overcorrection, that is why Marie is saying you have to give, or Alan is saying, that you have to give grace. Because you've only had the shit for 5 years. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this. My cousin, he used to be a dope boy. Was in the army also. Like, he'd been a millionaire, and had it and lost and everything, right? And he told me, we were talking the other day, he said he had a Viper. He wouldn't pay like $100,000, some crazy shit with cash, right? Think about it, he ain't never had nothing like that. So when he got it, he was doing the most. Riding around, drinking, man, just doing the most. He like almost totaled the car like 3 times in like the first week of having it, because he's never had it. So there's a huge overcorrection. So if there's a huge overcorrection, and you actually said this, at some point, you need, after that 5 years, you need at least half of what was before you in order to figure out like where does so not only do women need grace, because we're actually navigating. And
men should have grace for being sassy.
If I can just finish, what I'm saying is that women are in the driver's seat, right? So yes, we have to give women grace, because I don't know what to do with this. We just got the license. You know what I'm saying?
5 years.
When did you get the? No, you didn't.
She's talking about 95 to 5.
But I'm talking about.
No.
Listen, my question.
Just let me finish what I'm saying. When it comes down to it, yes, we also have to give men the same grace in that regard. I ain't talking about no fucking criminals or this, that, and the other, because you know right from wrong. I don't give a fuck about that.
So we do, but you don't.
I just said give grace. It wasn't being.
No. Right from wrong. So
this has no. Rico, right from wrong versus rights and no rights, they're not the same thing. That's an apple and that's an orange. As a matter of fact, it's an apple and a watermelon. You understand what I'm saying? So you're saying we have to give grace in the sense that men don't know how to respond to a different society, to a different set of circumstances where they are not the ones in charge.
And now they're becoming sassy.
They are not the ones who control everything, where they are not the ones who can tell you to shut the fuck up and go sit the fuck down. Because now when you have rights, you have money, you have options, you don't have to deal with certain things. You can remove yourself from harmful and troublesome situations. So in that regard, we do have to give men grace. And that's why I said, fuck the criminals. I don't care about that. We're giving grace to men who are trying to adapt to what the current society is. That's what I'm saying, giving grace to.
What I'm saying is that
being more emotional.
That's never going to happen, right? So that's what I'm saying. There's no grace that's going to be given, because what has been given is going to be a extreme correction, right? Because
the extreme correction is right now.
No. The correction has not started
yet.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Started yet.
The problem is, we're talking about giving grace from 95 to 5 years, but now we're talking about maybe 30 years. Let's just say.
No.
The reality is about 30 years, maybe longer, right? So what I will say is that we are now at the 2 to 3. Actually, we have already concluded 2. We're somewhere in the 3 to 4 generations of infancy, okay? Of women now having the ability to have these rights. Different types of rights. We could talk about the 60s. Guess what? The 60s was 60 years ago.
Nigga, my mama, go get my mama.
Whatever.
Like, fuck? Like, what are you talking about?
What I'm saying is a situation that happened in the 60s was also 60 years ago. That same situation that happened in the 60s, a 25 or 35-year-old woman has never experienced and doesn't even know what it's like to experience that. We're talking about giving grace for something that has been already 2 to 3, maybe even 4 generations gone, right? So now the grace is done. So now what you're seeing is an overcorrection, and the overcorrection is going to be whatever is that law, whoever is that law, their foot is going to start to be pushed down. And if we look at it from just zoom out and look at it from a worldwide standpoint, shit is not changing in the way that we think that it's changing. Here every day, yes. But when you look at it from a worldwide standpoint, listen, they'll give a little bit. They're never going to give it all. The problem is that men do not believe women are going to put the whole society in a better situation.
If my man knows that I can handle a situation better, he will say, handle that. That's relinquishing his power, even though they were coming to him.
I'll tell you a real personal, my grandmother and my grandfather, they own a few businesses. My grandmother runs all of those businesses. They operate on heavy machinery. My grandfather and their kids go out, and also employees, they do the work. My grandmother runs the finances. She runs the billing. She runs everything, the finance of the house, the finance of whatever they own. Every single thing that comes to money and actually owning it, taking that responsibility for it, she is the one. She's the one, to the point where he don't even be knowing how much the mortgage is. He just goes out and works. So when we're talking about when a man will relinquish the power, which we've seen in households, we've seen in different periods of times, they will do it if I know that this is going to be progressive and be better than if I did it, then I'm going to, here, please take it. I don't think women understand.
Yeah.
Men don't want to hold all the weight.
No, they don't.
We don't. We want to shed some of this bitch off. But the problem is we don't feel like we have a person or a civilization to shed it off to. Because the second that we do, you start going haywire and you're asking for grace. There's no conversation left off the table. That's the purpose. And although it's not resolved, it's something that we're going to continue to unpack from both perspectives. Right, Aaron?
No, but I'm gonna be honest. Like, I actually take issue with us not using like correct timeline.
Okay.
Like, I really, because history in no way has any example of a woman being able to be in power and proliferate and have the entire world under a woman. At no point. Or I just have a real issue with us like having a conversation where we're not using like facts, statistics, and so on and so forth. Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense. And we're putting out bad information. And the reason why I use that 95 and 5 is because that is a true representation of what the world has been. And not even just America. Rico says like, oh, women haven't run society. There's like been tons of women heads of state, prime minister. I can name 5 right now. You understand? In the countries that they represented, in the West and the East. So I think if we're gonna have a real conversation about it, like, we really need to have facts. We really need to know how many women have run these global companies. I'll give you one right now. Julie Sweet, Accenture. 1 million fucking employees. Yeah, Xerox. Accenture has almost 1 million employees.